everybody, welcome to Taji's World of Books and welcome to a Sarah J. Maas Deep Dive Part 1. Hey, so that was a really complicated introduction. So what I'm going to be doing is I joined with Jen from the Book Refuge, which I will link the video down below, to do a read-along, and Jen is hosting a year-long read-along with several other booktubers, and the first two are hosted on Jen's channel, where we kind of just get together and process and talk about all of Sarah J. Maas's books in publication order. Okay. And so we just kind of just speculate and just talk back and forth about various things. And I thought that what I would do is, as I'm reading these books anyway, some of those, I'm going to be in some of those live shows with Jen. I signed up for a couple as my schedule allows, and some of them I will not. But what I'm going to be doing is, as I read these particular books, I have put down and taken notes and made a lot of questions, because we all want to know about this multiverse and what Sarah J. Maas is creating and what kind of Easter eggs and nuggets she has left for us to find. And so I just want to jump on, and I'm going to be doing part 1, part 2, part 3 as I sort of come up with these, so that we can talk about what we find. And so that's what I did in this particular book, or this particular in this particular video. We're going to talk about that. And so I can't say that it's going to make a lot of sense. I can't say that I'm going to have a rhyme or reason to this, but I'm going to be asking questions. I'm going to be thinking about things. I'm going to be speculating. This is just a stream of consciousness. So if you're down to hear a stream of consciousness and hear how I ramble about this, then stick with me and hang in there and put stuff in the video below, or in the comments below, and let me know what you think about it. All right, so then the first book that I read is The Assassin's Blade. This is a collection of short stories. This is The Assassin and the Pirate Lord, The Assassin and the Healer, The Assassin in the Desert, The Underworld, and The Empire. So the thing that I thought was interesting, and these are just like little notes that I made. So again, we're learning about, in the first story, this is about Rolf, the Lord of the Pirates. We know that he's got a magical map on his hand. 8 years is significant. We know that magic has disappeared about 8 years ago, and so we don't know why or what that has happened with that. The thing I think that is really interesting that I didn't pay attention to before is that we know Selena Sardathian, you know, is interacting with Sam, and we know Sam was a significant figure in her life and a significant love interest that sort of changes how she thinks about things. But what I didn't sort of pick up on is that everybody that we meet over here, Rolf, Irene Towers, Ansel, Arabin, Lysandra, they are all significant later on. And I don't know why I didn't make that connection. Like, I didn't realize when I read this before that Lysandra was a courtesan and that she and Selena hate each other. I don't know why I didn't make that connection. I didn't realize, and I didn't make the connection that Irene Towers, and I know that later on, like, she's working at the White Pig. She's been there for a year now. She's from an Innish town. And we know Arabin is the king of the assassins. And she was punished for the Pirate Lord situation, and so Selena was being punished for the Pirate Lord situation and freeing the slaves, and that's how she comes across Irene. And that's when she gives Irene all of that brooch and all that money and helps Irene get to the place where she learns the healing arts, which brings us to Tower of Dawn and that whole situation. But I guess I just didn't make that connection. And then Ansel, right, like Ansel talks about, and this is The Assassin in the Desert, and this is 3 months away from the Rifthold situation, and when she did the whole, when she got herself in trouble by going against what Arabin told her to do, right, to, you know, who she was supposed to kill, and she chose not to do that, and she freed the slaves. She got in a bunch of trouble, so then she got sent over to train with the assassins and the desert as part of her punishment. And I noted that while she was with the assassins in the desert, there was a book with strange writings in it. So was that book with the strange writings in it the word marks? Was that the beginning of the word marks? I don't know. But it would be interesting to kind of find out. Like I said, this is going to be a stream of consciousness. And that whole situation with Ansel and not killing Ansel and letting Ansel go, how is that going to pan out later on? And then with the assassin and the underworld, she planned to buy her freedom. That was 3 months since Arabin beat her senseless and unconscious for defying, and then that's when the whole situation with Lysandra comes in. So there's a lot of like little nuggets and clues in this particular book, in these short stories, about what's going to happen in the future that we need to pay attention to, that I think is going to be really interesting. So one of the things that I wanted to say is, when I read this the first time, I was like, I could give a shit. I don't understand. Why am I reading this? And I gave it like a 3-star rating, whereas this time around I thought it was outstanding. No, I gave it a 2-star rating, I think. A 2 or 1. I just hated it. Whereas this time around I gave it a 4. Like, I was like super, I loved it. It was great. It gave me all the little nuggets. I thought it was fun and interesting. I understood Celaena a bit more. Like, she didn't piss me off quite as much. Like last time I was really wanting romance and I wasn't getting romance, and so I just didn't get it. Whereas this time I didn't care about the romance, and so it gave me all like everything I wanted. And plus I'm like on a hunt for Easter eggs. So I'm reading it with a different purpose this time. So I experienced it in a different way. So then Throne of Glass, again, I loved it. I loved it. Like, I think that this was like a 4 or 5 rating for me. Like, it was very, like, it just gave me everything that I wanted. I was reading it with a different lens. I didn't care about the romance. Like, I wanted to get the nuggets, and I felt like there is so many nuggets here. So we learned that books are being burned here, and 5 years ago they were destroyed, right, and taken away by the king of Adarlan. The king of Adarlan destroyed all of the books and took magic away. Now we know that she had been sent to the salt mines, and so Dorian goes to the salt mines and retrieves Celaena to make her the champion of Adarlan. There are several tests that have to be passed in order for her to be, and she's competing, and it's a competition. She's competing against other competitors, and if she wins, she'll be the king's champion. And so it's interesting, like, I made several notes. And the notes that I sort of had questions to, I had 9 questions. I was like, what's the leaning tower, the glass tower, the clock tower? What's up with that? What's up with the gargoyles that are on top of them? There's something, that's a portal, I think. Something's going on with that. And the beast's eyes that follow you around, the gargoyle that, like, it looks like no matter where you are, they see you. I think that's significant. It's significant that magic disappeared 10 years ago. Why? And how does that relate to Celaena? And how does it relate to everything that we're talking about? The Fae disappeared. When and why? Because the Fae were the ones who fought against the king of Adarlan, who destroyed magic. And were they the only ones that could fight against this? So there's more to that story. Dorian is different. He's always felt differently. We know something's going on with Dorian, so we know that that's going to be divulged later. There's the tapestry that's in Celaena's room, and when she goes through the tapestry to enter the tunnel, this is on page 176 of this book, she says that she heard whispers in a long forgotten language. And one of the things that I noted in Crescent City, in the House of Sky and Breath, at the end, they talk about it was a language, a tongue that was long forgotten, right? And so, like, it's, and I think it was Amarant, it was, I can't remember who it was, but somebody was like, that's a tongue of a long forgotten time. So I think that's going to be relevant. The word marks are interesting. It says also on page 186 that there are 8 guardians, gargoyles at the clock tower, that guard the portal between our worlds and other worlds. Okay, so we're starting to see that this is a multi-dimensional universe where there are gates that you can go through in order to access other worlds, and then there are clearly guardians. So I think the clock tower is one of those particular gates that you can go through to access other worlds. And at the foot of Elena, the old queen's legs, it said, time's rift. That is a significant statement that we're going to hear about multiple times, because again, it's about time's rift. Gavin was the first king of Adarlan. Elena was the first princess of Terrasen. She was Brennan's daughter. Brennan is the one who Queen Maeve, we learn over here, Queen Maeve got the 3 keys to the word gates and sent Brennan to distribute it across the world, because Maeve thought that it was too powerful for any one person to wield. But what did Brennan do with them? So that's going to be interesting. We also know that there are swords of power, to which we are going to hear about different tools of power. We hear about it in Court of Silver Flame. We hear about it in the Court of Wing and Ruin. We also hear about it in the Crescent City. The first one that we hear about is the Sword of Damaris. So that's number one. We have to take note of that. And then again, these 3 keys. And then we say also evil dwells in the castle, evil enough to make the stars quake, malice echoes in all the worlds. So again, we're getting like little clues. She's got to find the evil. Selena must destroy it before a portal is ripped open that is so wide there is no undoing it. Selena must win. She has to wear the Eye of Selena as protection. But we know that that Eye of Selena is something. Is it a portal key? I don't know. Also, the amulet is a gold-sided amulet for protection, a blue gem of sapphire. So I don't know if that's relevant or not. Again, everything is happening during solstices. So it's Samhain, the winter solstice. You could talk to the dead. There's always something significant going on around certain periods of time. Chaos ring and amethyst ring. I don't know if the stones are going to mean anything later. We learned that there were 12 marks forming a larger circle around the tower. None of these marks were the same at the Xavier's murder. 3 word marks around the body. So we got to find out what these word marks mean. This is on page 206, right? We say that word marks are a force that can open a word gate. Again, we're getting more information about that. Gate using, and then they said gate using markers to go to other realms that can be both good and bad realms, and some things you don't want to access. We also found that there is the Book of the Walking Dead. So we need to find out what that Book of the Walking Dead is. Is that related to the same book that we were talking about over here with the Assassins in the Desert? I don't know, but we will hear more about that coming. Like I said, this is stream of consciousness, you guys. Then there's lots of word marks. I think Nehemia is going to be significant in here because Nehemia has a lot of information about word marks and about what happened 10 years ago, and the reason that the king of Adarlan, Dorian's father, destroyed all of magic. And Nehemia said you were all, and I thought that was really, Cain says at the end of this book, which I think is significant, he said you were all brought here, all players in an unfinished game. What's the unfinished game, and who brought them here and for what reason? And I think that that's all going to like work itself out as we get to the Crescent City series as well. So really, I love this book because I felt like this book was chocked full of nuggets and like little bits of information that we needed to know and we needed to pay attention to kind of this bigger sort of collective story. So like I said, this review is not necessarily about what this book is about, because the book is all it's about really is Selena competing in a competition to be the King's Champion. And we're getting to know characters like Dorian and Kael and Cain, who is like the evil, and Duke Parrington and Caltaine and all of those like main characters, like, you know, and that's really what the story is about. So if you're just reading it for just that, you're just like, it's just a competition and I don't get it. But if you're looking at it like it's a competition, but you're also getting information about word marks and word gates and rifts and time travel and portals and portal keys and how to open portal keys and what that all means in terms of, you know, traveling, interdimensional travel, and how you do that and what that looks like and how to learn about the word keys, the word. And they're saying like the word was created all of this into existence. So we need the book to understand, to translate the word symbols so that you can then use the clock tower as a portal to other dimensions, if that makes sense. So, having said that, I gave this a 4, if not a 5, and I thought it was pretty angsty, and there was no steam, because it's not meant to, and I hope that makes sense at all. Okay, so then the next book that I read was Crown of Midnight, and again, she is now the King's Champion. Kael Westfall is relevant in the story because we know that Dorian was a love interest, but she said, Dorian, how is that even going to work? I am the King's Champion. You are the prince. Like, it just, we can't. We need to, like, before it ever even got off the ground, it was like, let's just separate. And so now Chaol has kind of stepped in. Dorian is, like, pissed because Chaol is, like, in the picture. And, like, before when I read it, I was like, I want to see more of that. Now I could give a shit because we know that this is not where it's ending up. And that's fine. So, she's sent on a mission. She is supposed to kill all of these people that the king that he says is, you know, going against him. And he wants them murdered. And so she decides that, Celaena decides, I'm not going to kill these people. I'm going to give them a choice. Leave. Never use your name again. Never return. And you can leave with your life. Or choose not to do that. And I'll kill you. And that's the end of that. So they all decide to leave. Okay, so we also have Mort. And Mort is a metal door knocker. And Mort has information she needs. So Mort is like, he's going to answer questions, but he's only going to answer questions if you ask them the right way. And so, I'm going to put this down. And if she asks questions the right way, and he's like kind of like comic relief, and he's a little bit cheeky. But again, when she asks questions the right way, Mort gives her the information. Keltane, we know, is being used for something. We know, I think you need to pay attention to this, that iron, magic can't penetrate this, so iron is significant. And we also learn later as well, and I wrote it down, that obsidian is forbidden. Gods fear it, so what is it, and where is it, and do we need to know this later? I thought was relevant. We also know that there are 3 black rings. They're rings of power. Parrington has one. Roland is a new addition. He has one. The king has one. And we know Cain, who was dead, had one as well. So these rings of power, I think, are going to come in later. Baba Yellowlegs is introduced. Baba Yellowlegs is really important because she's got all the history and all the backstory of the Word Gate. She said Word Gate governs the forms and foundations of the world. There are worlds that exist on top of each other. The Word keeps the realms apart. The gates that allows you to pass from world to world. And she also names the Vlog, that are the demons that we need to, that are bent on conquest. So we need to pay attention to. She also said in page 308 that Maeve banished the Vlog back to their realm. I also explained earlier that there are 3 word keys. And that's and Damaris is a sacred sword. And the clock tower is relevant. So I think that there is so much information. We know that Gavin, Elena, and Bannon are relevant to Queen Maeve. So we're getting a lot of information. So you guys, we got to pay attention to this. So I am going to go into Air of Fire next. And I will do a second version of this, and that will be coming soon. So this is my stream of consciousness. So if you like it, please let me know. Please like the video, subscribe so you know that I upload another. Like I said, this is part 1 of this deep dive. I'm going to be doing several of these through the year in preparation for the release of the next book. So hang in there with me, you guys. If you like it, then I will do more of it. So tell me what you think about all of these things that are relevant. Again, this all happened just 10 years ago in the chronology of events in this world. 10 years ago, the king of Adeline, Dorian's father, outlawed magic, destroyed all libraries and books except for magic that was in his household. We know that the key, the portal, is the clock tower that is in Adeline. We know that there are word keys. We know the Vlog are the demons. We know that the Baba Yellowlegs and the witches have more information. They're going to be relevant later on. And all of this is really starting to come together. And like I said, in this particular book, there are clues, nuggets. Anything else? Oh, she talks about the starry cells. She has a weapon to kill the gods. So I think that's relevant as well. So there's more to come. So much more. You guys, please stay tuned and we will talk about it all and then some. Thank you so much for joining me and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye.